Yeah, the difference with Trump is that they don't actually go after him on the things that actually would be opening up the floodgates for them. Everybody else.
They only go after, right, that's the
Why
problem.
do you think they're so honed in on the fact that he paid off a porn star or whatever the fuck?
As if we couldn't find that on them.
Yeah, really.
They've all been, and let me tell you, Clinton's and Jeffrey Epstein's island is a thing.
Forget that. How about just the fact that they, they're at these sex parties and people know that they're there.
And again, no judgment. As long as everybody is of consenting age, I could not care less.
All I'm saying is, I don't know how long Diddy's going to be alive, but I don't think he'll be alive long enough to actually spill the beans.
No. He'll be Arkansided before that can happen.
The fact that LeBron James has been at Diddy's parties, that just goes to show you how deep this goes.
And what makes me sad, and I don't know if this is true, and I do not like to get involved in any of the Hollywood crap. But did I hear correctly that Mila Kunis moved out from Ashton Kutcher because of his connection to Diddy and all the parties he's been to?
Oh, yeah. Ashton was a fixture at his parties.
Okay.
You know who else?
You know who else was a
fixture?
If you say Keanu, I'm going to lose my shit.
The one person who has nothing to do with any of that stuff is Keanu Reeves.
Okay, thank you.
Keanu Reeves is actually considered
Keanu
Reeves is considered the cleanest star in all of Hollywood.
I love him.
But you know who has been to a lot of Diddy parties? Leo's been to a lot of Diddy parties.
That doesn't surprise me at all. This man, as soon as his girlfriends become of legal drinking age, he moves on to a younger girlfriend.
It's not that young, but young enough.
The problem is that as you get older, if your baseline of who you'll date doesn't get older with you, then you're at a point where you're able to date someone your daughter's age, your granddaughter's age. It starts to get really creepy and weird. And as somebody who is a parent, that's always my thing. I would not be with anybody that I was old enough to be their parent because it's just creepy. And so, yeah, I think Leo definitely has some issues that he should be working out in therapy.
I also think it's important, and guys, make sure.
Do we know for sure the Diddy thing involves underage people?
Justin Bieber is one for absolute certainty.
Okay. I'm just saying, because when it's consenting people and it just happens to be like hookers and drugs and parties, I couldn't care less.
No, and there have been countless women that have come out.
Underage and non-consenting is what we're saying. Okay.
Everything. Diddy's been a fixture for multiple decades.
A lot of people are and have big parties and are wild things like, whatever. And you better not ever say anything bad about Snoop either. There's another person that I would not want to hear anything negative about.
No, unfortunately, Snoop is in that hip hop world, and there's a lot of things that go on that people don't want to know about.
I don't mind the party stuff. That there is a huge difference between the party, drug, music life and underage sex trafficking. That is not the same thing. I don't care if people have sex with people for money and hookers, and I don't care if they're of age.
Business, that's fine.
Right. So it only matters to me if there's non-consenting people. And that I don't know enough because I really don't care that much about the Diddy thing.
Yeah. No,
other than finding out Ashton Kutcher is somehow involved kind of grosses me out.
But here's the thing about Gates. If this was forced, that's a whole other story.
Yeah. And again, it's lechy with Gates. It's lechy, but to say trafficking because you took an escort over state lines, and honestly, yes, they were young.
And easy
that's a tough one.
And how easy people can lie about their age.
There's a lot of variables, and he might have known how old they were, and it's lechy and disgusting for sure, but it's not trafficking.
No.
It's not child sex trafficking.
Yes, and there are times that people end up at these parties. Perhaps somebody like Snoop who are not actually involved with a lot of things that go on.
Those kinds of parties, you can't assume that everybody at a party knows what's going on at that party. These parties are huge. No, I don't believe that.
However,
people that regularly, people that are in and behind the scenes, people that are friends that are posing with pictures with them and are hanging out with them, then you have that. It's not being at one of their parties once. That could be everybody.
All I know is that I have always had a very, very negative feeling about Diddy for many years. This goes back to when I was in high school. And I'm not talking about his involvement potentially in the murders of both Biggie and Tupac. I'm talking about the fact that I always saw him as somebody who was the embodiment of everything that goes wrong in the black.
You think Diddy had something to do with Tupac?
1,000%. And I look at it more so is that There's a reason why certain people in the Black community especially are given the pedestal. There's a reason why people like Al Sharpton are given the pedestal. There's a reason why people like Sean Combs are given the pedestal, because they keep their community exactly where they want them, impoverished and without direction. And I can still remember when Diddy was doing commercials specifically to sell Ciroc vodka. And how would he sell it? Come to the party, live like me in your own.
So if there's
world.
Is there any way for him to get, because if somebody if it got shown that he was involved in that and that he was responsible for, that would essentially turn the entire community against him. Like if that would, he'd have nobody. Not that I think a lot of people are going to bat for him now.
For those of you who have not seen the Katt Williams interview with Shannon Sharpe, I highly recommend you do, because everyone at the time basically pointed to the fact that the person that he really honed in on was Diddy. He basically said, oh, this guy is like, he's a pedo, he's a rapist, and I don't even care that he's gay, because I think Diddy is gay. But that doesn't matter.
No, not if people are consenting.
What matters is that there's something about him where you can feel that negative energy. You can feel it. You just know. And this is something I also pointed out to somebody that I talk to every once in a while. Diddy has no talent. And you should always be suspicious of people who make it very high on the hog who have no talent. Zero. Maybe he's got some producing skills, but that can be taught. He can't sing, he can't write, and he can't perform.
So in other words, then that begs the question as to how has he done so well and who's been covering for him and what he knows about them and so why he gets where he gets. That's how that happens.
He's just another version of Jeffrey Epstein. You know, this is the exact same thing that
they have their people in all locations.
The exact same thing I said about Madoff. You think he's the only one who's committing financial crimes on a grand scale? The only reason Madoff went down is because he did it within the affluent Jewish community and they all have the money. That's the reason he went down. You know how many financial scam artists are out there? Have you ever watched American Greed? A lot of these guys get a slap on the wrist. And why is that? Because the people who ultimately get taken to the bank, or excuse me, not to the bank, but get taken for a ride are the people that have very little ways and means. They have a retirement account. They're just trying to make a few extra bucks to live hopefully comfortably in retirement.
My prediction is Diddy will never live to see a trial. He's not living to see a trial. That's my prediction.
I think you're probably right.
Because that trial, there are way too many people that will not have that.
No. There's already enough out there. There's already enough image guilty. But let me tell you something. LeBron James, I'm not saying he's the person that would give the order to have somebody taken care of.
God, no.
Let me assure you
that
there are people around LeBron, just like people have protected him for years.
Well, protecting their financial interests in him. Yeah, that I understand. But I do not see LeBron James as that. I don't.
You know how Alex Rodriguez got busted in baseball for using performance-enhancing drugs? Do you know that LeBron has used the exact same people that A-Rod was using in Miami all those years ago? There's a reason none of this comes out when they're at the height of their powers.
Too many people have too much invested.
There's too much money involved. LeBron, he's just going to be another brother from Cleveland when it's all said and done. But right now,
he's a brand.
He's a brand. And he makes up a lot of people a lot of money.
So Diddy is no longer useful to them. So that's it. But again, he's never, that trial will never happen.
If there is any truth whatsoever to not only LeBron being at the Diddy parties, which he has said specifically that he's been to, but if there's any evidence that he has been there, and God forbid there's any evidence of him interacting with, let's say, other men, that will never see the light of day as long as LeBron is where he is. That will never happen.